Anyway, so I went round the corner and there was this old man on his knee in his overcoat.
He was an enormous collector of art, wasn't he?
Yes,
Like
yeah.
Major works.
Major collector. In his own idiosyncratic way. And he was on one knee looking at this drawing. I thought, I like that guy. And he bought about 6 drawings.
Wow.
And all was 20 quid, you know. But
it's quite a fee then, wasn't it? What was that, in the 70s?
well, yeah. I mean, it was great. And he said, I'm going to pay you a great compliment, Martin. And this drawing reminds me of Ruskin. Do you know Ruskin? No. I do now, of course.
Actually, because they're so varied and different. But there's, as you said, there's a theme, an energy that runs through them, which links them all together. There's this amazing portrait, which I hadn't seen until just a few days ago, of this old lady.
Yeah.
And it's something wonderful about it, I love. Something special about it, her expression. You can see a sadness about her.
Yeah.
You met her recently, this lady.
Yeah. Over the summer and well, for the last year or so, my son has sort of had this desire to go to Morrison's Cafe. And so I've been going to Morrison's Cafe a lot. And it's very good, it's very cheap, and it's good food. And there are nice people in there. And anyway, there was one time I was sitting there, and there was something else going on. But on the table behind, something else going on which affected our lives. But there was, on the table behind was this marvellous woman. And I said to George, God, that woman, she looks like a Rembrandt, you know, it's just amazing, you know, with this hat on and everything. And her eyes, and it's just incredible. And anyway, George said, I've got to go in the shop. And okay. Well, I'm going to ask this lady if she's going to sit for me. Because I'd had a little tiny studio done in the back of the house. And I thought, because she walks around with a four-wheeled thing, walking frame thing, with wheels on it. And I thought, well, if I, you know, rather than getting her to go 15 miles out of the way, she could just come down the road and go in the back door. She'd be able to go down. It's all flat, and it'd be, she could sit in that, go in the door, sit down, and I'll pay.
You thought of all this before you asked?
Yeah. So and she said, well, I like painting myself. You know, I used to like painting until I became very blind, and so I think the fact that she liked to do painting, and now her big passion is to do whatever she can with gardening. That was an instant sympathy to sit in there, because most people go, "What, you want to paint me? What colour? You know, pink or yellow or something?" You know, but no, it's nice. She took me seriously, and so she gave me a number, and you know, and I'm always a bit wary of things like that, because you know. Because you sort of start thinking of yourself as some sort of weirdo who's, you know, do you know what I mean? You're sort of thinking that other people are thinking, and so you have to get past all that crap. But she was a marvellous person, and I think one thing that struck me after when I was talking to her in Morrison's was sad, I thought, because she said at the end of it, she said, "Oh, thank you for talking to me." Oh. Sad. And actually, we have great conversations, and she said, I don't have these conversations. You know, people of my own age would just talk about their aches and pains. You know, it's. But she's, interestingly enough, she's called Margaret. And there's a great portrait by Rembrandt called Margherita. It's funny though, isn't it? But, yeah. Fanciful connection. But she looks like a... Anyway, she's from Liverpool, and she's a very tough lady. Very tough. And she's very resourceful.
What age is she? 80?
She's 89, and she's had polio for 88 years and doesn't complain. And she's now, you know, pretty blind and gets about. And always has this benign kind of smile on her face. Marvellous. Absolutely marvellous person. And just the sort of character that Rembrandt would have met. You know, there's a sort of strong, tough resourceful people. Out there.
We're obviously going to see some more paintings of that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so.
Lovely, there's a group of paintings you've got in here, which are very gentle, soft lights, at different times of day, and different atmospheres of the Taj Mahal.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And there's a whole group of those, and I think there's such individual paintings that some people make the mistake to think they're very similar. In fact, they are very different, even though there's a gentleness through all of them. When were they painted?
208.
208.
In the winter. And I was very lucky. I'd been to. I'd had a bad time that winter because there was a lot of smog. There was hardly any light in Delhi. I mean, hardly any light. It was. You think, oh yeah, this is good, and then 3 weeks later, you're thinking, oh no, that was 2 weeks later. You think, God, it's really horrible. This, 4 o'clock, the sun's gone into nastiness, and there's no light. And the funny thing is that trip really pointed out the poverty to me of India, and the way I put that down to was when the sun is sparkling around, it catches a dome or it catches a light on the thing, and you're more taken away to those things, and you're not actually aware of what's happening at your feet anymore, and it's a bit simple to say that, but it sort of could be something of that. And I went to, where did I go to? I went to some place I've never been to before, and then went wherever it was, I can't think, and then went to Agra. And papers were saying there's a big black cloud hanging all over India and going all the way down to the Middle East, but actually it stopped about 100 miles up the road. It actually wasn't, it was just over Delhi. And I got up at 5 in the morning, and I'd have the same driver as I had the last time, and I knew where I wanted to go, and I went on the other side of the Yamuna River and set off. And it's just marvellous, actually. It's great to be driven to a place and then walk. You haven't got to think about driving, you're not stressed by driving, you haven't got to think. And all you're thinking about is going to do your painting. There was some interesting things happening there as well. I mean, the last painting I did down there, I moved down the river a little bit and I found a human skull.
Have you painted it yet?
No, I left it there. But the boys who were around, they all kicked it about, they
Oh, no.
were all kicking it around. So, yeah, it's just a skull,
We
funny.
got 2 or 3 paintings from China.
Yes.
That was a very different experience from China, wasn't it?
Yeah, very different. That's very hard again because that was very polluted light as well. I never really saw the sun in China, and I came back with a very sore throat, which took about 3 or 4 weeks to clear up, actually. It could have been China, could have been the aircraft, but, I don't know. Funny place. Nice people, but, you weren't sure.
You didn't feel so inspired in China as you did other parts of the world?
Well, it was such a strange experience. And it was so far on the other side of the world, I didn't really feel like I caught up with myself. And this was to do with Tim's book, and he mentions that in the book about, I said, oh yeah, look, when I first started travelling, I travelled overland. And, by the time I arrived, I was feeling sort of like part of the place. Now you get on a plane, you end up in China, and you think, I'm still in, warm. As I've got older,
They've got their own energy, though.
I've got older. I used to think when I first went to the RA, it was definitely out of sufferance having to do a still life. I want to do faces. I don't want to bloody do a still life. But they said, oh, you'll learn so much about doing so, and they're absolutely right. Everything they said is absolutely right. Absolutely right. One example, Greenham was to say, oh, don't have a bloody kettle in your studio. You will always be making yourself cups of tea. Absolutely right. If you haven't got the chance to make a cup of tea, you don't make one. You get on with painting. He's absolutely right. Everything that guy said, it was